Have you ever felt like confidence is just out of reach? Like it's some elusive quality only a select few are born with? Well, I'm here to tell you that's a myth. Confidence isn't a gift, it's a skill. And today, I'm going to show you how to build it. Let me share a quick story. A few years ago, I was stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. Every decision, every interaction was clouded by fear and uncertainty. I felt like an imposter in my own life. Then, I discovered Stoicism. It was like a light switch flipped. The more I delved into Stoic philosophy, the more I realized that confidence isn't about being perfect or always knowing what to do. It's about embracing imperfection, accepting uncertainty, and living authentically. So if you're ready to transform your mindset and unlock a level of confidence you never thought possible, stick around. These aren't your typical self-help tips. They're bold, they're controversial, and they'll challenge everything you think you know about confidence. But trust me, they work. Before we dive in, if you're finding value in this content, don't forget to subscribe to The Stoic, Michael, and hit the notification bell. This way, you'll never miss out on insights that can help you live a more confident and fulfilling life. Now, let's get started. Learn to say no. Let's talk about something that's going to ruffle some feathers. Learning to say no. Society has conditioned us to be people pleasers, to say yes to every request, every favor, every obligation. But here's the truth. Saying yes to everything is a surefire way to destroy your confidence and self-respect. Let me get personal for a moment. There was a time in my life when I was the yes man. I thought agreeing to everything would make me more likable, more successful, more everything. But instead, I found myself exhausted, overwhelmed, and honestly, a little resentful. I was living my life on other people's terms, not my own. I remember one week where I had agreed to help a friend move, take on extra projects at work, and attend 3 different social events. By the end of it, I was drained. I didn't have any time for myself, and my confidence was shot because I was constantly letting myself down to meet others' expectations. Here's the controversial truth. Saying no is one of the most powerful things you can do for your confidence. It's a declaration that your time, your energy, and your priorities matter. It's not about being selfish, it's about self-respect. When you say no, you're setting boundaries. You're telling the world, I value myself and my time. And guess what? People respect that. They may not like it at first, but they'll respect you more for standing your ground. Let me be raw and honest. Saying no can be terrifying. You might fear rejection, disappointment, or conflict. But here's the kicker. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're rejecting yourself. You're telling yourself that your needs and desires are less important than others. That's a huge confidence killer. Think about it. How many times have you agreed to something you didn't want to do and ended up feeling frustrated or resentful? How often have you put others' needs before your own and felt your confidence chip away? Saying no isn't about being rude or unkind. It's about being honest and authentic. It's about taking control of your life and making choices that align with your values and goals. So the next time someone asks you for something, take a moment. Ask yourself, is this something I truly want to do? Does this align with my priorities? If the answer is no, then be brave enough to say it. Your confidence will thank you. Remember, confidence isn't about always saying yes. It's about knowing when to say no. 2. Accept your flaws. Let's dive into one of the toughest yet most liberating lessons in Stoicism, accepting your flaws. This isn't about settling for less or excusing poor behavior. It's about embracing your humanity and realizing that your imperfections are a part of who you are. Let me get real with you. For a long time, I struggled with the idea of perfection. I thought that to be confident, I needed to be flawless. But all it did was make me anxious and insecure. I was constantly afraid that people would see through the cracks and discover that I wasn't as perfect as I tried to appear. I remember spending hours nitpicking at every detail, whether it was my appearance, my work, or even my interactions with others. I was my own worst critic, and it was exhausting. Here's the raw, honest truth. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. And the more you chase it, the more you set yourself up for disappointment. True confidence comes from embracing your flaws, not hiding them. When you accept your flaws, you're freeing yourself from the impossible standards that society often imposes. You're saying, I am enough just as I am. And that's incredibly powerful. I used to be extremely self-conscious about my speaking skills. I would avoid public speaking at all costs, fearing that I'd stumble over my words or forget what to say. But one day, I decided to face my fear head-on. I accepted that I might make mistakes. And guess what? I did. But I also found my voice. And each time I spoke, I grew more confident. Think about it. How many times have you let your flaws hold you back? How often have you avoided opportunities because you feared your imperfections would be exposed? The Stoics believed that flaws are not something to be ashamed of. They are part of the human experience. This idea might sound simple, but it's incredibly profound. In a world that often pressures us to be perfect, the Stoic philosophy offers a refreshing perspective. Our imperfections are not weaknesses. They are opportunities for growth and self-acceptance. Let's dive deeper into this concept. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, taught that life is a series of challenges designed to test and refine our character. They believed that our flaws are not accidents or mistakes, but essential parts of who we are. These imperfections are the raw materials from which we build resilience, wisdom, and authenticity. Think about it. If we were all perfect, life would lose its meaning. There would be no struggles to overcome, no lessons to learn, and no growth to achieve. Our flaws are what make us human. They remind us that we are works in progress, constantly evolving and improving. Let me share a personal story to illustrate this. For years, I struggled with the idea of perfection. I thought that to be confident, I needed to be flawless. I would obsess over every detail, my appearance, my work, even my interactions with others. I was my own worst critic, and it was exhausting. One day I came across a quote by Marcus Aurelius. "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple yet powerful idea shifted my perspective. I realized that my flaws were not something to hide or fix, but something to accept and embrace. Here's the raw, honest truth. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist, and the more we chase it, the more we set ourselves up for disappointment. True confidence comes from embracing our flaws, not hiding them. When we accept our imperfections, we free ourselves from the impossible standards that society often imposes. We say to ourselves, I am enough, just as I am. And that's incredibly powerful. Let me give you an example. I used to be extremely self-conscious about my public speaking skills. I would avoid speaking in front of groups at all costs, fearing that I'd stumble over my words or forget what to say. But one day, I decided to face my fear head-on. I accepted that I might make mistakes. And guess what? I did. But I also found my voice. And each time I spoke, I grew more confident. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. The Stoics believed that flaws are not something to be ashamed of. They are part of the human experience. By accepting our flaws, we embrace our true selves, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Think about it. How many times have you let your flaws hold you back? How often have you avoided opportunities because you feared your imperfections would be exposed? The Stoics taught that true confidence comes from authenticity. It's about showing up as you are, flaws and all. When we accept our imperfections, we stop comparing ourselves to others and start focusing on our own growth. Here's another way to look at it. Our flaws are like cracks in a vase. At first glance, they might seem like weaknesses, but if you look closer, you'll see that they are what make the vase unique. They tell a story of resilience, of survival, of beauty in imperfection. The Japanese have a concept called kintsugi, which means golden repair. It's the art of fixing broken pottery with gold, highlighting the cracks instead of hiding them. The result is a piece that's even more beautiful and valuable than before. This is how we should view our flaws. They are not something to hide or fix, but something to celebrate. They are the golden seams that make us who we are. So the next time you catch yourself dwelling on a flaw, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, is this flaw really as bad as I'm making it out to be? Can I learn from it? Can I grow because of it? Embrace your imperfections and watch your confidence flourish. Remember, confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about being authentic. It's about showing up as you are, flaws and all. Understand the limits of your knowledge. This isn't just about admitting you don't know everything. It's about embracing curiosity and the endless journey of learning. And trust me, it's a game changer for your confidence. Let me share a personal experience. There was a time when I thought I had to have all the answers. Whether it was at work, in social situations, or even in personal conversations, I felt this immense pressure to always know what to say and do. It was exhausting and, frankly, unsustainable. I remember one particular incident during a team meeting where I was asked a technical question I didn't know the answer to. Instead of admitting my ignorance, I tried to bluff my way through it. It was a disaster. My lack of knowledge was exposed, and I felt humiliated. Here's the raw, honest truth. Admitting you don't know something is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. It takes confidence to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to find out. The Stoics taught that recognizing the limits of our knowledge opens the door to true wisdom. When you acknowledge the limits of your knowledge, you're giving yourself permission to learn and grow. You're embracing the idea that knowledge is a journey, not a destination. And that's incredibly empowering. After that disastrous meeting, I made a conscious decision to embrace my ignorance. I started asking more questions, seeking out mentors, and admitting when I didn't know something. It was transformative. Not only did my knowledge grow, but my confidence skyrocketed, because I was no longer pretending to be something I wasn't. Think about it. How many times have you stayed silent because you were afraid of looking stupid? How often have you pretended to know something, only to feel even more insecure when the truth came out? The Stoics believed that true wisdom comes from understanding our limitations. This idea might sound counterintuitive in a world that often celebrates certainty and expertise. But here's the truth. Confidence isn't about pretending to know everything. It's about embracing the unknown and being open to growth. Let me break this down further. The Stoics, like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, taught that humility is the foundation of wisdom. They believed that the moment we think we know it all is the moment we stop growing. Think about it. When you admit you don't know something, you create space for curiosity, learning, and transformation. Imagine a tree. If its roots never stretch deeper into the soil, it can't grow taller or stronger. Similarly, if we don't acknowledge the limits of our knowledge, we stunt our own growth. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate. It's about accepting where we are, even if it's a place of uncertainty, and using it as a springboard for growth. Let me share a personal story to illustrate this. A few years ago, I was in a meeting where a colleague asked me a question I didn't know the answer to. My first instinct was to panic. I thought, if I admit I don't know, they'll think I'm incompetent. So I tried to bluff my way through it. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well. My lack of knowledge became obvious, and I felt embarrassed. But here's what I learned from that experience. Pretending to know something you don't is far more damaging than simply admitting you don't know. It erodes trust, undermines your credibility, and most importantly, chips away at your confidence. After that meeting, I made a conscious decision to change my approach. I started saying, I don't know, but I'll find out. And you know what happened? People respected me more for my honesty. They saw that I was willing to learn, and that willingness became a source of strength, not weakness. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. The Stoics taught that true confidence comes from understanding that we are perpetual students of life. No matter how much we learn, there will always be more to discover. And that's not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Think about the greatest minds in history, people like Socrates, who famously said, "I know that I know nothing," or Leonardo da Vinci, who spent his entire life exploring art, science, and philosophy, never settling on one area of expertise. These individuals understood that the pursuit of knowledge is endless, and that humility is the key to unlocking it. Now, let's bring this back to confidence. When you admit you don't know something, you're not admitting defeat. You're opening yourself up to possibility. You're saying, I may not have the answer right now, but I'm willing to find it. That mindset is incredibly empowering. Here's another way to look at it. Confidence isn't about having all the answers. It's about being comfortable with not having them. It's about trusting yourself to figure things out as you go. This is what the Stoics called ataraxia, a state of inner peace that comes from accepting what you can't control and focusing on what you can. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're starting a new job. You're excited but also nervous because there's so much you don't know. Instead of pretending to be an expert, what if you approached it with curiosity? What if you asked questions, sought guidance, and embraced the learning process? Not only would you gain valuable knowledge, but you'd also build genuine confidence. Because confidence isn't about faking it until you make it. It's about being authentic, even when that means admitting you're still learning. The Stoics also believed that understanding our limitations helps us connect with others. When we admit we don't know something, we create opportunities for collaboration and growth. We show others that it's okay to be imperfect, and that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Think about the last time someone admitted they didn't know something to you. Did you judge them, or did you respect their honesty? Chances are you admired their courage, and that's the power of humility. So how can you apply this in your own life? Start by embracing the unknown. The next time you're faced with a question you can't answer, resist the urge to pretend. Instead say, I don't know, but I'll find out. Then, take action. Research, ask for help, or explore new perspectives. This simple shift in mindset can transform your confidence, because when you stop pretending to know everything, you free yourself from the pressure of perfection. You give yourself permission to grow, to learn, and to evolve. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of self-reflection. Take time each day to ask yourself, what did I learn today? What don't I know? How can I grow tomorrow? This practice not only deepens your understanding, but also strengthens your confidence. Remember, confidence isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about being the most curious, the most open, and the most willing to learn. It's about understanding that wisdom is a journey, not a destination. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to dominate it. Instead, listen more than you speak. Ask questions. Seek to understand, rather than to be understood. You'll be amazed at how much you learn, and how much more confident you feel. In conclusion, the Stoic philosophy teaches us that true wisdom comes from understanding our limitations. By admitting what we don't know, we open ourselves up to learning, growth, and the vast possibilities that come with a curious mind. This humility is the bedrock of genuine confidence. So, embrace the unknown. Celebrate your curiosity. And remember, the more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to discover. And that's not a weakness, it's a strength.